Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo O on March 1st. Man, wow. Already March, ready to go. 1 Kings chapter 14. That's what we're going to do today. And read over this on a nice chilly high desert morning for sure. You could always check out the Morning Devos on my YouTube channel, Bo Ouellette. That's Ouellettete. That's the last name, Ouellettete. And you can check out all the different books we've gone through of the Bible. So now we're in the narrative of, if you will, Solomon. Solomon's dead. We got his kingdom, the kingdom of Israel divided. The north tribes, a couple south tribes. That's the split. We see a lot of idolatry. People moving in different directions, right? Worshiping the kind of worship of Yahweh has become really watered down. Really, if you will, mixed with so many other deities. And different places of worship, instead of really the temple that Solomon constructed, being the only place of really worship and sacrifice before the Lord, it is now pretty much some different areas. It's, so you kind of have a really interesting kind of evolution of the worship of Yahweh that's going on at this stage of the game in the Bible and in its narrative. Is there any hope? Is there any light at the end of the tunnel of the madness of a culture that has gone astray? Well, we'll see as it goes. So much going on in our world too, right? And in our cultures as well. So hopefully this focuses us. I know it's my Devo. It's time to get in the Word a little bit, just get the mind focused. So Chapter 14, 1 Kings. At the time, Jeroboam's son, Abijah, became very sick. So at that time. So at this time when, the last chapter basically ends, then there was a sickness in Jeroboam's family. Jeroboam, king of the north, right? And Abijah was his name. And it says, so Jeroboam told his wife, disguise yourself so that no one will recognize you as my wife. Then go to the prophet Ahijah at Shiloh. Shiloh, the place where, this area in Ephraim, I think it is, the tribe of Ephraim. And go there, disguise yourself. It's kind of weird, huh? The whole disguise yourself. Like, why not just go as you are? Why do we have to disguise ourselves? Hey, is there any kind of disguising that I'm doing, in my life? Am I disguising myself? It's an interesting thought this morning, huh? Is there the way I portray myself, say at the church, is that the way I really am? Or am I different, when I get home? Am I a different person? Or am I that same person, in public that I am in private? Those kind of questions always, I think hit us and impact us and make us really go, I do see maybe some failure there. Maybe not some, but maybe I see a lot of failure there. And maybe I need to look at that part of my life and maybe pray and say, hey, God, help me to live a life of integrity. That the way I am in public is the way I am just privately by myself or with my family. But anyway, she disguises herself and she goes, and it says the man, he said, go to that man who told me that I was going to become king. Remember that prophet guy who came to me and said, hey, you're going to be king in the kingdom, blah, 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 and all this stuff. It says, take a gift of 10 loaves of bread, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and ask him what will happen to the boy. So as a lot of times we've read so far, when you go to the prophet, you bring him some food, man. He loves to eat. I joke with that, but it seems like that's a common thing, right? Bring him a gift, man. Bring him some food, And so he does. And so Jeroboam's wife went to Abijah's home at Shiloh. He was an old man now and could no longer see, but the Lord had told Abijah, Jeroboam's wife will come here, pretending to be someone else. She will ask you for her son, for he is very sick. Give her the answer I give you. Wow, don't you love just the insights? We call this in the New Testament the word of knowledge. To some is given a word of knowledge. Wow, this is really cool. It is a word of knowledge. Have you ever prayed for that? God, give me a word of knowledge. Speak something to me that is going to help or benefit or convict or, whatever it is, but, to edify, to build up. These kind of gifts, I think, are things to be sought after. The scriptures tell us, to seek the gifts, especially the greatest gift. And you know what the greatest gift is? A lot of people think it's maybe miracles or this kind of thing. But in the New Testament, the greatest gift is love, And so, pray for that gift. And it says, so when Ahijah heard her footsteps out the door, he called out, come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why are you pretending to be someone else? He told her, I have bad news for you. Now, I love that little line is so good, don't you think? what the prophet says. Why are you pretending to be someone else? Hey, culture. Hey, yo, you young person out there. Why are you pretending to be someone else? Hey, Bo, why are you pretending to be someone else? Gosh, can't you think back in your life where there was times, especially that youth growing up time, where you just wanted to fit in so bad, man. You pierced your earrings, your ears, you did your nose, you put on your tats, you did whatever it is you needed to do. You were seeking your identity in anything that could make you feel better, that could, in a sense, fill the hole within you. And you'll do anything for it. You'll transform yourself into whatever you need to do, right? And that's what our culture does today, just like it's always been, right? I feel better like this. I feel better if I transform myself into this person, into this being, into this whatever, right? If I can get this, then I will be complete. Oh man, Jesus offers us so much, something better, right? You can be complete in Jesus, right? Colossians 2:10. You can have your identity in Christ and something solid. God is solid. That identity is solid because it's an identity in something that's non-changeable. It's immutable, right? And so that is a change for the better, because that's to the greater. But to change to just whatever you think you will complete you on this planet is, things aren't immutable. Things are ever changing. You're ever changing. It's not a good change. It's not usually a complete change. It's usually not a fulfilling change. Maybe for a season. We all have that, right? We get that earring. We get that nose ring. We transform our bodies. We do whatever it is we need to do to feel better, right? But really, it's just for a time. Oh man, what a good word. I have, why are you pretending to be someone else? We live in, this is our culture, man. And certainly I'm a part of that. And it says, give your husband Jeroboam this message from the Lord, the God of Israel. I promoted you from the ranks of the common people and made you ruler over my people Israel. Hey, I brought you up just from a commoner, and now you're the aristocrat, I guess, right? And I ripped the kingdom away from the family of David and gave it to you. But you have not been like my servant David, who obeyed my commands and followed me with all of his heart and always did whatever I wanted. You didn't follow me. You didn't listen to me. You didn't care about me. You didn't think about, hey, what does God want here? Hey, what would God want us to do here? You didn't think that way. And it says, instead, you have done more evil than all those who lived before you. Instead, you just did what you wanted to do. You did what you thought was right. There's a way that seems right, but at the end, it leads to destruction. Yeah, right? It seems right. It seems like the right thing to do. It feels so good. It feels so right. It feels so complete. I feel so satisfied. But it's not the right thing to do. It's just not the right thing to do. You're listening to the wrong source. That's what we're doing. We're listening to the wrong people, right? It might be right to that person over there, to what they've told you, but you're listening to the wrong authority, so it's all wrong. We've all done that, that's for sure, right? You have made other gods for yourself and have made me furious about your gold calves. You went back to, some really gnarly idol worship. You just constructed your own gods, your own authority. That's what it is. Your gods are your authority. You've heaped up for yourself. You're listening to, those in power. You're trusting those in the here. You're trusting those there. You're listening to that person over there. You're listening to that organization over there, right? Those have become your gods. Those are your authorities that you listen to. But you don't listen to anything I'm saying, Maybe I need to crack open the Bible instead of crack on the TV. Maybe I need to open up the Bible instead of crack open the internet browser and look for NEWS, right? yeah, maybe I'm listening to the wrong prophet, the wrong spokesperson. And it says, I will bring disaster on your dynasty and will destroy every one of your male descendants, slave and free alike, anywhere in Israel. I will burn up your royal dynasty as one burns up trash until it's all gone. The members of Jeroboam's family who die in the city will be eaten by dogs, and those who die in the field will be eaten by vultures. I, the Lord, have spoken. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Man, God, isn't God harsh? I mean, God, why is God so harsh? I mean, Jeroboam was just he's just trying his best. He's just, what did he do really wrong? Oh, man. Isn't that the way sometimes I am? God, why are you doing this? Why are you judging so harshly? Why are you judging so thoroughly? And you know what that comes from? It comes from this thinking in my own heart. This might not be you, but it certainly is me. That when I have a problem with God's judgment, it's because I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm actually doing better and better and better than I really am. See, I think that there's some kind of injustice with God. And what I mean by injustice is that I think, we are doing great and that we should be applauded rather than judged. And that if God was just more nice to me, then, hey, maybe I'd come around, kind of thing. See, I have this twisted way of thinking about it, and it's this thought of God is unjust. But if God's God, and by definition, God is upholding righteousness, as God, if he's not upholding righteousness, and he certainly ain't God, or he certainly ain't a righteous being. But if he's a righteous God, which the Bible says God is righteous and holy, in him is no darkness at all, then he must judge behavior, he must judge sin. He must judge the volitional breaking of the law, right? The rebellious moving away from God. I know to do the right thing, but I don't do it. And I just tend to think like, we're much better than we are. But just look at our world. Just look, right? Just open up the eyes and look. And is our world really, do we really treat each other right? Are things really in harmony? Right? No. Everything's anger, bitterness, envy, strife, right? Money is a root of all kinds of evil. We become callous, harsh, territorial, right? Separating ourselves from one another. We got some serious issues as a species. Serious problems. We cannot get it together. And so I have no problem with God's judgment on us. Now I can move away from that judgment only by one way, and that is through the blood of Jesus Christ that was spilled for me. He took the punishment that I truly deserve in breaking God's holy law. And he did that for you too. Man, you come to Jesus and you have passed from judgment to life indeed. Then Ahijah said to Jeroboam's wife, "Go on home, and when you enter the city, the child will die. All Israel will mourn for him and bury him. He is the only member of your family who will have a proper burial. For this child is the only good thing that the Lord, the God of Israel, sees in the entire family of Jeroboam." Wow. That's very interesting as well. In addition, the Lord will raise up a king over Israel who will destroy the family of Jeroboam. This will happen today, even now. The Lord will shake Israel like a reed whipped about in a stream. Those northern tribes are going to really face some consequences for their worship. They're worshiping God the way they want to worship, not the way God has revealed, right? Hey, this is what I want to do. Bo, maybe it's not what you want to do that's important. Maybe it's not how you want to worship that is the thing to do. Maybe it's you doing what God says to do in his revealed word. He's already revealed the way to worship him. Maybe that's how you got to do it. Maybe that's what you should do, is submit to God. So at the heart of this comes a lot of pride for us, right? In us, because we don't want to submit. Then the Lord will shake Israel like a reed whipped about in the stream. He will uproot the people of Israel from this good land that he gave their ancestors and will scatter them beyond the Euphrates River. Wow, so this is really one of our first really insights, the real insight into the captivity of the 10 northern tribes of Israel. Israel is being told, this northern part of the tribes of Israel, that they are going to be scattered beyond the Euphrates River. For they have angered the Lord with their Asherah poles they have set up for worship. He will abandon Israel because Jeroboam sinned and made Israel sin along with him. So Jeroboam's wife returned to Tisra, and the child died just as she walked through the door of her house. Then all Israel buried him and mourned for him, and the Lord promised through the prophet Ahijah. So at this time, there is some form of peace where they can bury this child. The rest of the events in Jeroboam's reign, including all his wars and how he ruled, are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. Jeroboam reigned in Israel 22 years. When Jeroboam died, his son Nadab became the next king. So let's see what happens here. So wow, we really see that important, this is a really important chapter, right? We see that there is going to be a judgment on these tribes, and it's going to be thorough. So meanwhile, Rehoboam, down in the south, right, of Solomon, who was king of Judah, he was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city the Lord had chosen from among all the tribes of Israel as the place to honor his name. Rehoboam's mother was Naamah, the Ammonite woman. Interesting, right? He was part Ammonite. So interesting, right? So much for being kind of that, pure kind of, blood, I guess, It says, during Rehoboam's reign, the people of Judah did what was evil in the Lord's sight, provoking his anger with their sin. And it says, for it was even worse than that of their ancestors. For they also built for themselves pagan shrines. Here we go. And they set up sacred pillars and Asherah poles on every hill and under every green tree. Hey, just as the northern tribes did, so Rehoboam does down south. He kind of follows it. The blind leading the blind, right? The northern tribe blinded, right? Now the southern tribe walking right in their steps. There was even male and female shrine prostitutes through the land. The people imitated the detestable practices of the pagan nations the Lord had driven from the land ahead of all the Israelites. And this is talking a lot about their sexual behavior. The different ways they practiced their bodily sexual appetites. And a lot of people want to hold on to these things. This is what, a lot of us, the bottom line is you hold on to things that are close, and our sexuality is something that's close to us. And so people go, hey, I want to do things my way. I want to go things, and we all have done that before, right? We all want to do things our way. Again, not God's way. No way. Who's to say who can do, I have to go that route. I want to go this route. And so they go that route. And again, that's the record of humans. In the 5th year of King Rehoboam's reign, King Shishak of Egypt came up and attacked Jerusalem. He ransacked the treasuries of the Lord's temple and the royal palace. He stole everything, including the gold shield Solomon had made. Oh man, all that input of gold Solomon had made. Now, what is it for? All the treasures that you store up, all the treasures I store up. What's it for? To get stolen. Okay. King Rehoboam later replaced them with bronze shields as substitutes, and he entrusted them to the care of the commanders of the guard who protected the entrance of the royal palace. Whenever the king went to the temple of the Lord, the guards who would also take the shields and then return them to the guard room. So they started protecting things a little greater, right? Sometimes our finances, we need to make sure they're protected, and do what we can to protect our wealth for our family, for sure, But you know what? Sometimes we can store up so much and we can be so concerned with storing up that we don't realize that, these things can sprout wings and fly away, right? Through various means. You buy the car, you love the car so much, and then the car gets stolen, right? It's like, oh man, help me, God, to be rooted more in you than rooted in the material. The rest of the events of Rehoboam's reign and everything he did are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Judah. There was constant war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam. When Rehoboam died, he was buried among his ancestors in the city of David. His mother was Naamah, again we were told, an Ammonite woman. Once again we're told that. And then his son Abijam became the next king. Wow. So we get kind of the ending of Jeroboam and Rehoboam. Again, the king of the north, the king of the south, and all that went with it, and all the wonderful, if you will, things to think about through the chapter, and how it affects us today. Hey, I want to be someone who, knows my proper place, and not to think so highly of myself. And there's a lot of, I think, warnings in this chapter, too, to us just as human beings, to not get so cocky and not think so highly of ourselves where we can just go rogue and not have there be consequences. There are consequences for our actions. There is a cause and effect. And that's what we see in our world. That's what we've always seen in our world. And, and thing is I got to just look at myself now and just say, hey, what is the cause and effect in my life? What is the cause? What am I doing? And what is the effect of that? Kind of think through that as well. So cool chapter. Again, another good one. And thank you for joining me on today's Devo. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day and stay warm, right? And love someone today. Pray for someone today. Let's help someone out. Okay? You guys take care. Bye-bye.